Hello everyone, I'm Jay Kinsey, and I'm here to present to you the new LEGO Mindstorms Robot Inventor set, number 51515. This is Blast, which is one of 5 models that you can build from the instructions in the kit, and today I'd like to go through a little tour of the kit to show you some of the cool features that the new set has. So the first thing I would like to talk about is the core of the system, which is the new programmable brick. So the new programmable brick, which is the head of Blast here, is actually the same as Spike Prime. However, it has been recolored this sort of teal color in this set. I also have here a Spike Prime brick, which is, as mentioned, mechanically and electrically identical, just a different color. So one of the things that's really novel about the new brick is the mechanical design. So the new brick is significantly smaller than previous versions. For example, here's a EV3, which is the previous model of programmable robotics invention system, and you can see how much smaller the new brick is in every single dimension. And I have a little demonstration with this for you. So this is a Technic frame, one of the larger Technic frames that you can get. One of these, or actually several of these, come in the new set, although they're colored black. This one's from the Spike Prime set and is blue. You can see that despite how big this is, the LEGO EV3 cannot actually pass through one of these frames. It's just simply too large. In contrast, the new brick actually fits inside the frame with 2 units on each side to spare. So that gives you an idea of just how much smaller and more compact the new design is. In addition, mechanically, it also has a large variety of holes that you can use for mounting along it. So it has holes here, these 2 lines of holes on the top. It has 4 holes on the face. It has these L-shaped holes on the sides, and also a nice set of holes that go around the perimeter on the bottom. So that makes this really easy to integrate into whatever you happen to be building. In addition, this has 6 ports, and what's new and interesting about these ports is that they can be used either for motors or sensors. So you can have a choice whether you want to include more sensors into your design or more motors into your design, which for your application you might need that flexibility. Electrically, this is powered by a dedicated lithium-ion rechargeable battery. This is actually the first brick that LEGO has made where it did not take AA's. And so that's fairly novel in itself. This new power brick is rechargeable and is charged through the USB Mini, I believe. A USB Mini port on it as well. It also has a built-in sensor as well. So that is a 6-axis gyro, so it works on all 6 degrees of freedom. So both all 3 linear translation axes and all 3 axes of roll. So yaw, pitch, roll. So you have a full knowledge of how it's moving and rotating in space from the internal sensor. It's also, the quality of that sensor is also much improved over the previous version EV3 gyro sensor. So that's just a significant improvement all the way around. Another cool thing about this brick electrically is how fast it boots up. So you can see how quickly. Yep, that's all it takes to turn it on. The previous version robotics invention system on the EV3 took minutes, up to minutes, to turn on fully. Which, if you do a lot of LEGO competitions and things, that time to turn it on can actually be quite difficult in the middle of competition. This also has Bluetooth, just like its predecessors as well. So let's talk a little bit about the motors and the motor design of the new system. So the new set, the 51515, comes with 4 of these, which are medium motors. This is the new version medium motor. The only this is a Spike Prime motor. The only difference is that the motor that comes in the 51515 set is gray instead of this sort of bluish, tealish color. So you can see just how compact that is. So we have sort of a theme going on. Look how small the core is, and then look how small the motors are. So immediately this whole thing is sort of tending towards being able to build smaller, more compact things in a much more elegant way. So that also makes it easier to integrate into whatever you happen to be building. I have a older motor here as well. This is a EV3 large motor, and just to give you an example of the size, you can clearly see how much smaller that this new motor design is compared to the older EV3 motors. So this motor as well has a lot of great mounting options on it. So in addition to the standard sort of cross pattern that comes on the actual driving element, you have these holes here well on the sides, and then you also have some holes here on this face, as well as some holes in the back as well. So this should be very easy to build around, and again, easy to integrate into whatever sets you're building. One of the other things you might have noticed are the wires. So the wires here are actually integrated into all the elements. So that includes both motors and sensors, and you can see that reduces the part count, but it also allows you to have these really nice wrappable wires. So in contrast, the previous wires had a lot of difficulty making tight radii. And new for this set is there's a new part which is essentially a little clip that lets you clip onto the wire and then clip that wire to a Technic hole. And that lets you easily cable manage whatever you happen to be building. These motors have 1 degree of resolution, just like the EV3 motors and NXT motors, but they have a new feature in them, which is they also have absolute encoders. Now, what's an absolute encoder? An absolute encoder allows the motor to know exactly where it is all the time. So, for example, rather than having to, say, move an arm to a starting position manually and then begin your program, your arm will already know at what degree or what angle it currently is at. So the motor is essentially always aware of whatever absolute angle it is at, and it can return to a constant position at any time. So that makes building lots of things much easier, and it can also make your things more autonomous without you having to have more human type intervention. So let's talk a little bit about the sensors. So the sensors here I have built into Blast. There's a light sensor, which is here in the front, and that light sensor is essentially a 3x3 cube and is very compact. And the new set also comes with a ultrasonic sensor as well. And the ultrasonic sensor is particularly interesting because that ultrasonic sensor actually has the ability to integrate with other types of sensors that you might have, like other homebrew type sensors. You actually can take off the faceplate by removing a screw, and that gives you access to a set of headers. And if you know what you're doing and you set everything up right, you can actually build your own sensors that specifically integrate with that header connection that's built into the ultrasonic sensor. So that lets you sort of take this in a whole other direction of being able to do more education stuff or more sort of exploration type stuff and take it sort of to the next level. Let's talk a little bit about the programming for this. So the programming for this has a different environment than the educational side. So there's a programming environment for both the Spike Prime and the robotics invention system here. They both are very similar in their construction, but internally they're laid out a little bit differently because this is meant for retail as opposed to education. However, they still fundamentally do the same thing. The approach to these is kind of a two-step process. So there's a new programming language called Scratch, which continues the idea and lineage of graphical-based programming, of being able to drag and drop linear elements or elements into a, essentially a executable path. And the other element now, new thing you can do, is these actually all run Python. So specifically a MicroPython. And this gives you a lot of flexibility, being able to use both these graphical Scratch type programming, as well as the Python sort of text-based, more advanced type programming. So no matter where you are in your programming journey, effectively, you'll be able to find a home here within this robotics invention system. So that's all the stuff that I thought was really cool about the set. I'd be interested to hear whatever you might have. Be interested if you could comment below, or if you have any other interesting comments. And thank you much for your time, and hope you enjoy this. Cheers.